नमो रमणाय नमो रमणाय नमो रमणाय नमो रमणाय.
Om Namo Bhagavate Arunachala Ramanaya. This is Rajani Tirupati from Los Angeles Satsang, presenting Bhagavan Sri Ramana's Ekatma Panchakam. Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddhagnanayikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Ekatma Panchakam was Bhagavan's last composition. Introduction to Ekatma Panchakam. One day in February 1947, there was some discussion in Bhagavan's hall about the Tamil meter Vemba, during the course of which Bhagavan remarked that though Kavyakanta Ganapat Muni, the great Sanskrit poet and scholar, who was renowned for his Ashukavitvam, ability to compose extempore verses on any given subject, had tried to compose some verses in Venba meter. He had found that he was unable to compose even a single verse in that meter, either in Sanskrit or in his mother tongue Telugu. Hearing this, Surinagamma, the recorder of letters from Sri Ramanashram, requested Sri Bhagavan to compose some Telugu verses in Vemba meter. But at first he declined, saying, "Am I a Pandit well versed in Telugu? If I write anything in Telugu, your people will say that there are mistakes which must be corrected." Though Surinagamma continued to entreat him, he did not compose any verses that day, but on the next day, he graciously composed 3 Telugu verses in Vemba meter and at the same time translated them into Tamil. Seeing this, Surinagamma again entreated him to compose some more verses on the same lines. And though at first he again declined, after some days he composed 2 more verses in the same meter, both in Telugu and Tamil. These 5 verses are a lucid exposition of the nature of self, the one reality, and hence were named Ekatma Panchakam, the 5 verses on the oneness of self. The compound word Ekatma means one self, the oneness of self, or self the one, and hence it denotes not only that self is only one and not many, but also that self is the only one, that is only one existing reality. It is particularly in this latter sense that the expression the oneness of self should be understood, for the import of this work is that, as verse 5 clearly states, self is the only ever existing and shining reality. As it turned out, this was to be the last original composition of Sri Bhagavan. Ekatma Panchakam in Telugu. What you see is in Bhagavan's own handwriting. I'll read the Telugu verse first and then read the English translation from Michael James later. తన్ను మరచి తనువు తానై తలచి ఎన్నియో జన్మములెత్తి తుది తన్ను తెలిసి తానౌట పలు దేశ సంచార కలన్మేల్ కనుటకను. One previously forgetting self, mistaking a body as self, taking innumerable births, and finally knowing self and being self, is just like waking up from a dream of wandering about the world. Know thus. తానుండి తానుగా తన్ను తానేనెవడ నేనుండు స్థానమేది అనువానికి నేనెవడ నెక్కడ నేనున్నా అన్న మధుపానుని ఈడు పలుకు. Declare that he who asks himself, "Who am I? And what is the place where I am coming from?" though he always exists as self, is equal to a drunkard who asks, "Who am I and in which place am I?" తనలో తనువుండ తాను జడమౌ తను వందున్నట్టు తలుచు మనుజుడు చిత్రములోనున్నది చిత్రమున కాధార వస్త్రమను ఎంచువాడు. when in fact the body is within self, which is existence, consciousness, bliss, Satchitananda. He who thinks that self is within that insentient body is like one who thinks that the cloth of the screen, which is a substratum of the picture, exists within that picture. పొన్నుకు వేరుగా భూషణముండునే తన్ను విడిచి తనువేది తన్ను తనువాడనువాడు అగ్నుడు తాను అనువాడు తను కనిన జ్ఞాని ధరించు. Can an ornament exist other than gold, which is the substance, vastu? Without self, the soul existing reality, where is the body? He who thinks the body to be himself is an agnani. He who he, he who takes himself to be self is a gnani. He who knows self, know thus. ఎప్పుడు ఉన్నది ఏకాత్మ వస్తువే ఇప్పుడు ఆ వస్తువు ఆది గురువు చెప్పక చెప్పి తెలియక చేసిన రెవరు తెలియక చేసిన రెవరు చెప్పి చెప్పుదురు చెప్పు. The only thing vastu that exists externally by its own light is that oneself. When in those ancient days the Adi Guru, the primal Guru Sri Dakshinamurti, revealed that vastu through speechless speech. Say, who can reveal it through speech? ఏకాత్మ తత్వము ఇట్టిదని తేల్చి భక్తులు దేహాత్మ భావము తీర్చను ఏకాత్మ జ్ఞాన స్వరూప రమణ గురునాథుడు తానానతిచ్చు పంచకమందు. This benedictory verse was composed by Sri Muruganar in Tamil and was later translated into Telugu by Bhagavan himself. Thus, in these days, Guru Ramana, who shines as the form of one self-knowledge, Ekatma Gnana Swarupa, has made clear in this verse sung by him what the truth of that oneness of self is, destroying thereby the I am the body feeling, Dehatma Bhava of his devotees. In this connection, Sri Bhagavan once told the following story to Sri Muruganar. When the four aged Sanakadi Rishis first saw the 16-year-old Dakshinamurti sitting under the banyan tree, they were at once attracted by him, understanding him to be the real Sadguru. They approached him, did 3 pradakshinas, circumambulations around him, prostrated before him, sat at his feet, and began to ask very shrewd and pertinent questions about the nature of reality and the means of attaining it. Because of the great compassion and fatherly love, Vatsalya, which he felt for his aged disciples, the young Sri Dakshinamurti was overjoyed to see their earnestness, wisdom, and maturity, and hence gave them apt replies to each of their questions. But as he answered each consecutive question, further doubts arose in their minds, and they asked further apt questions. Thus they continued to question Sri Dakshinamurti for 1 whole year, and he continued to clear their doubts through his compassionate answers. Finally, however, Dakshinamurti understood that if he gave more answers to their questions, more doubts would rise in their minds, and hence there would never be an end to their ignorance, agnana. Therefore, suppressing even the feeling of compassion and fatherly love, which was welling up within him, he merged himself into the supreme silence. Because of their great maturity, which had been ripened to perfection, and through their year-long association with the Sadguru, as soon as Sri Dakshinamurti thus merged himself, they too were automatically merged into silence, the state of self. Wonderstruck on hearing Sri Bhagavan narrating the story in this manner, Sri Murugana remarked that in no book it is mentioned that Sri Dakshinamurti ever spoke anything. But this is what actually happened, replied Sri Bhagavan. From the authoritative way in which Sri Bhagavan thus replied, and from the clear and descriptive way in which he had told the story, Sri Muruganar understood that Sri Bhagavan was none other than Sri Dakshinamurti himself.
नमो रमणाय नमो रमणाय नमो रमणाय नमो रमणाय
Namo Ramanaya. My name is Kanaka Iyer, and today I will be reading a few excerpts of Sri Annamalai Swami's teachings recorded during his interactions with devotees. Sri Annamalai Swami was from a small village in Tamil Nadu. He showed early signs of spiritual maturity, was steered towards his guru Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, and through devoted service to Bhagavan and doing sadhana as advised by Bhagavan, he attained self-realization. A small group of devotees would visit Annamalai Swami and ask him questions regarding his spiritual practice and about Bhagavan's teachings, and the answers given by Sri Annamalai Swami revealed the devotion he had towards Bhagavan and how he followed Bhagavan's advice at every step. Here are some of the questions and answers given by Annamalai Swami. I'm so accustomed to feeling I am this little self. I need help, asks a devotee. And Annamalai Swami responds, the little self will only give way to the real self if you meditate constantly. You cannot wish it away with a few stray thoughts. If you can understand that this little self never at any time had any existence outside your imagination, just like the snake never existed, it was always the rope, you will not be concerned about ways to eliminate it. Your desire for help in eliminating it is part of your problem. Don't make the mistake of imagining that there is some goal to be reached or attained. If you think like this, you will start to look for methods and people to help you. This just perpetuates the problem you're trying to end. Instead, cultivate the strong awareness that I am the self. You don't need any methods to get rid of the wrong ideas about yourself. All you have to do is stop believing them. The best way to do this is to replace them with ideas which more accurately reflect the real state of affairs. If you think and meditate, I am the self, it will do you a lot more good than thinking, I am the little self. How can I get rid of this little self? If you desire to gain a proper understanding of your real nature is intense enough, help will automatically come. If you want to generate an awareness of your real nature, you will be immeasurably helped by having contact with a jnani. The power and grace which a jnani radiates quieten the mind and automatically eliminate the wrong ideas you have about yourself. You can make progress by having satsang of a realized guru and by constant spiritual practice. The guru cannot do everything for you. You must practice constantly in order to give up the limiting habits of many lifetimes. Other question asked by a devotee. If everything is the self, even Maya, then why can't I see the self? To which Annamalai Swami replies, because you're looking in the wrong direction. You have the idea that the self is something that you see or experience. This is not so. The self is the awareness or the consciousness in which the seeing and experiencing takes place. Even if you don't see the self is still there. Bhagavan sometimes remarked humorously, people just open a newspaper and glance through it, then they say, I have seen the paper. But really, they haven't seen the paper. They have only seen the letters and pictures that are on it. There can be no words or pictures without the paper, but people always forget the paper while they are reading the words. While people see the names and forms that appear on the screen of consciousness, they ignore the screen itself. If people were to be aware of the consciousness instead of the forms that appear in it, they would realize that all forms are just appearances which manifest within the one indivisible consciousness. That consciousness is the self that you are looking for. You can be that consciousness, but you can never see it because it is not something that is separate from you. Question by a devotee. How do I know if I'm progressing in my meditation? Reply by Annamalai Swami. Those who meditate a lot often develop a subtle form of ego. They become pleased with the idea that they are making progress. They become pleased with the states of peace and bliss that they enjoy. They become pleased that they have learned to exercise some control over their wayward minds, or they may derive some satisfaction that they have found a good guru or a good method of meditation. All these feelings are ego feelings. When the ego feelings are present, awareness of the self is absent. The thought, I am meditating, is an ego thought. If real meditation is taking place, this thought cannot arise. Don't worry about whether you're making progress or not. Just keep your attention on the self 24 hours a day. Meditation is not something that should be done in a particular position at a particular time. It is an awareness and an attitude that must persist throughout the day. To be effective, meditation must be continuous. If you want to water a field, you dig a channel to the field and send water continuously along it for a lengthy period of time. If you send water for only 10 seconds and then stop, the water sinks into the ground even before it reaches the field. You will not be able to reach the self and stay there without a prolonged, continuous effort. Each time you give up trying or get distracted, some of your previous effort goes to waste. You divide your life up into different activities. I'm eating, I'm meditating, I'm working, etc. If you have ideas like these, you are still identifying with the body. Get rid of all these ideas and replace them with a single thought, I am the self. Hold on to that idea and don't let go. Don't give these I am the body ideas any attention. Learn to recognize them the moment they arise or deny them. Stay firmly in the self and don't allow the mind to identify with anything that the body does. Question asked by the devotee. My mind is unstoppable. How do I bring it to the self? Reply by Sri Annamalai Swami. When it arises, the mind automatically goes out into the world. If you do self-inquiry, you can train it to flow towards the self. In deep sleep, the mind automatically goes to the self, but you are not aware of it. Through the steady practice of self-inquiry, the mind can be trained in such a way that it automatically flows towards the self in the waking and dream states. It is very difficult at first, but with practice it can be done. Repeated self-inquiry makes the mind go back into the self. Other methods may produce good experiences, but the good experiences will not make the mind go back to the self and stay there. Question asked by the devotee. Forgetfulness of the self is a big problem for me. Reply by Annamalai Swami. Forgetfulness of the self happens because of non-inquiry. So I say, remove the forgetfulness through inquiry. Forgetfulness or non-forgetfulness is not a part of your destiny. It is something you can choose from moment to moment. That is what Bhagavan said. He said that you have the freedom either to identify with the body and its activities, and in doing so forget the self, or you can identify with the self and have the understanding that the body is performing its predestined activities, animated and sustained by the power of the self. If you have an oil lamp and you forget to put oil in it, the light goes out. It was your forgetfulness and your lack of vigilance that caused the light to go out. Your thoughts were elsewhere. They were not on tending the lamp. In every moment, you have one real choice, and it is only the real choice, to be aware of the self or to identify with the body and the mind. If you choose the latter, of course, don't blame God or God's will or predestination. God did not make you forget the self. You yourself are making the choice every second of your life. Final words by Annamalai Swami. You stumble around in the darkness of your mind, not knowing that you have a torch in your hand. That light is the light of the self. Switch it on and leave it on, and you will never stumble again. Om Sri Bhagavate Ramanaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramanaya. Day by Day with Bhagavan, March 19th, 1945, morning. A visitor from Sindh, very probably Kundanlal Ye Mahatani of Hyderabad, Sindh, now Pakistan, asked, "It is said the world and the objects that we see are all unreal, like the snake in the rope. It is also stated in other places that the seer and the seen are the same. If the seer and the seen are the same, then how can we say that the seen is unreal?" Bhagavan: all that is meant is that the seen, regarded as an independent entity, independent of the self, is unreal. The seen is not different from the seer. What exists is the one self, not a seer and a seen. The seen, regarded as the self, is real. Visitor: it is said the world is like a dream, but there is this difference between dream and the waking state. In dream, I see my friends or relations and go through some experiences with them. When I wake up and ask those friends or relations whom I met in the dream about the dream, they know nothing about it. But in the waking state, what I see and hear is corroborated by so many others. Bhagavan: you should not mix up the dream and the waking states. Just as you seek corroboration about the waking state experiences from those whom you see in the waking state, you must ask for corroboration about the dream experiences from those whom you saw in the dream state. That is, when you were in the dream. Then in the dream, those friends or relations whom you saw in the dream would corroborate with you. The main point is, are you prepared when awake to affirm the reality of any of your dream experiences? Similarly, one who has awakened into jnana cannot affirm the reality of the waking experience. From his viewpoint, the waking state is a dream. Visitor: it is said only some are chosen for self-realization and those alone could get it. It is rather discouraging. Bhagavan: all that is meant is we cannot by our own buddhi, unaided by God's grace, achieve realization of self. I added, Bhagavan also says that even that grace does not come arbitrarily, but because one deserves it by one's own efforts, either in this or in previous lives. Visitor: human effort is declared to be useless. What incentive can any man then have to better himself? I asked, where is it said you should make no effort or that your effort is useless? The visitor thereupon showed the portion in Who Am I, where it is said, when there is one great force looking after all the world, why should we bother what we shall do? I pointed out that what is depreciated there is not human effort,
but the feeling that I am the doer. Bhagavan approved of my explanation when I asked him if it was not so. Afternoon session. Bhagavan said he once had a dream that he went to Parani and that he then devoured the Parani god Lord Subramanya, and that he had at another time a dream that he visited Tiruchendur temple where also the deity is Lord Subramanya. The details of this dream Bhagavan does not remember. I remembered that some people once wanted to know if a Jivan Mukta can have dreams. The doubt is natural because we believe jnanis have no sleep like ordinary men, so they may not have dreams. I therefore asked Bhagavan about this matter, and he said, if the jnani can have a waking state, what is the difficulty about his having a dream state? But of course, as his waking state is different from the ordinary man's waking state, so his dream state also will be different from the ordinary man's dream state. Whether in waking or in dream, he will not slip from his real state, which is sometimes called the fourth or Turiya state. March 24th, 1945. Afternoon. I was reading Vichara Sangraha, self inquiry. I came across the statement that something in the heart, நான் என்று ஸ்புரித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறது. That is, something is shining or sounding as I in the heart. I have always had doubt what exactly the word Spurana means. So I asked Bhagavan, and he said it means விளங்குவது or விளக்குவது, that is, which shines or illuminates. I asked, is it not a sound we hear? Bhagavan said, yes, we may say it is a sound we feel or become aware of. He also referred to the dictionary and said, the word means throbbing, springing on the memory, flashing across the mind. Thus, both sound and light may be implied in the word spurana. Everything has come from light and sound. I asked Bhagavan, what is it that shines, whether it is the ego or the self? He said, it was neither the one nor the other, but something in between the two, that it is something which is a combination of the I self and the I thought ego, and that the self is without even this Purana. Explaining how the self is mere light and how it is both the word or sound, and also that out of which word or sound originally came, Bhagavan said, man has three bodies, the gross one made of the five elements, the sukshma or subtle one made of manas and prana and the jiva. Similarly, even Ishvara has three bodies. All the manifested universe is his gross body, light and sound are his sukshma body, and the self his jiva. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramanaya.